In 1916, deep in the mountains of West Virginia, a small coal town lived under a constant shadow of uncertainty. Every morning, hundreds of miners disappeared beneath the earth, unsure whether they would return home before sunset. Families worried about accidents, money, illness, and what tomorrow might bring. But among them was one man who discovered a powerful truth inside an abandoned mountain chapel. The future could not be controlled by fear. Some burdens had to be carried with hard work, and some had to be placed in the hands of the Creator. Decades later, the mines closed, the town disappeared, and nature reclaimed its streets. Yet the forgotten ruins still whisper the same timeless lesson. When the mind becomes exhausted from worrying about tomorrow, trust can give the heart the strength to live today. In the autumn of 1916, the narrow valleys of southern West Virginia were filled with the sound of steam locomotives, coal carts, and mining machinery. Coal powered factories, railroads, homes, and industries across the United States. Around one of the region's largest mines stood a growing company town known as Ashwood Hollow. Rows of wooden houses covered the valley. A small school stood near the railway tracks. A general store served hundreds of families. At the edge of town, surrounded by tall pine trees, stood a modest wooden chapel. Among the miners was a 33-year-old man named Elias Morgan. Elias had moved to Ashwood Hollow with his wife Mary and their young son Daniel. He hoped the mine would give his family a safer future than the difficult farming life he had left behind. But after arriving, Elias discovered that the future was never as certain as people imagined. Every morning before entering the mine, he worried. What if the tunnel collapses? What if I lose my job? What if I cannot provide for my family? What if something happens tomorrow? Those questions followed him everywhere. Even after returning home, Elias struggled to rest. While Mary and Daniel ate dinner, he silently calculated expenses. At night, he stared at the ceiling, imagining disasters that had not happened. The more he thought about the future, the more exhausted he became. One cold evening, an elderly miner named Samuel Carter noticed Elias sitting alone outside the company store. "You look tired," Samuel said. "I work all day," Elias replied, "but my mind works even longer." Samuel sat beside him. "What are you thinking about?" "Tomorrow," Elias answered. Samuel looked toward the dark mountains. "Tomorrow is a place none of us has visited," he said. "Why are you carrying its weight today?" Elias remained silent. Samuel pointed toward the small chapel near the forest. "When your hands have done all they can," he continued, "you must learn to place the rest in the Creator's hands." Elias respected Samuel, but he didn't understand. "How can trust solve our problems?" "It does not always remove the problem," Samuel replied. "Sometimes it gives you the strength to face it." Those words stayed in Elias's mind. By 1918, Ashwood Hollow had grown rapidly. Coal production increased, new families arrived, more homes were built along the valley. From the outside, the town appeared successful, but beneath the surface, uncertainty remained. Mining was dangerous, heavy wooden supports groaned beneath the mountain, coal dust filled the tunnels. Workers knew that one unexpected event could change everything. Then, during the winter of 1919, a powerful storm struck the region. Heavy rain flooded parts of the mine, several tunnels became unsafe, production stopped without warning. Hundreds of workers lost their income, fear spread throughout Ashwood Hollow. Families gathered inside the general store discussing rumors. "The company may close," one person said. "We may have to leave," said another. Elias felt his old worries return stronger than ever. For days he could not sleep. He imagined losing his home. He imagined his family going hungry. He imagined every possible disaster. Then one evening he walked toward the chapel. Inside only a few candles burned. Samuel sat quietly near the front. "I cannot stop worrying," Elias admitted. Samuel looked at him gently. "Have you done your work?" "Yes." "Have you searched for solutions?" "Yes." "Have you cared for your family?" "Yes." "Then why are you trying to control what no human being can control?" Elias looked down. Samuel continued. "Work with your hands. Think with wisdom. Prepare responsibly. But do not punish your heart by carrying tomorrow before it arrives." For the first time in years, Elias understood. Trust did not mean giving up. It did not mean refusing to work. It meant doing everything possible today, then releasing the fear of everything beyond his control. The next morning, Elias changed. He helped repair damaged equipment. He worked with other miners to clear flooded sections. He searched for temporary jobs. He supported families who had less food than his own. Instead of spending every hour fearing the fear, he focused on what he could do in the present. Weeks later, parts of the mine reopened. Life slowly returned, but Elias was no longer the same. He still planned for the future. He still worked hard, yet he no longer allowed uncertainty to steal every peaceful moment. Years passed. Ashwood Hollow survived several difficult periods, but by the late 1920s, the town began changing. Coal production declined, new energy sources became more common, railroad routes shifted, businesses closed, families moved away. Eventually, the mine shut down permanently. The streets became silent, the school closed, the general store boarded its windows. The chapel stood empty beneath the trees. Ashwood Hollow became another forgotten place in American history. Years later, Elias returned to the abandoned town. Grass covered the old roads, broken windows reflected the gray mountain sky. Trees grew beside homes where families had once shared meals. The future he had worried about for so many years had finally arrived, and it had not happened the way he imagined. The town had disappeared, the mine had closed, everything had changed. Yet Elias realized something important. All those years of worry had never prevented the town from changing. Fear had not protected him, but trust had helped him live through every difficult moment.
Standing beside the abandoned chapel, Elias remembered Samuel's words. When your hands have done all they can, place the rest in the Creator's hands. He smiled quietly. The future had remained uncertain, but his heart had finally found peace. Today, from mountain mining towns across America continue reminding us that people have always worried about tomorrow. They worried about work, money, family, health, change, and the unknown. Yet history shows that no one can carry the entire future alone. Hard work matters, preparation matters, responsibility matters, but peace also requires trust. Because when we spend every moment fearing tomorrow, we lose the only time we truly possess. Today, and beneath the silent mountains of West Virginia, the abandoned remains of Ashwood Hollow continue whispering the same timeless lesson. Do your best today, trust the Creator with tomorrow, and do not let a future you cannot control steal the peace you can still feel now.